Secretary of State Hillary Clinton? Virtually no one. So now the Obamas have gone to Saudi Arabia, and just by Michelle Obama doing what she's doing, and I'm sure the left will laud this. Look at this. She is showing women what liberation is all about. She is showing... No, she's not. First of all, if some other women try to do this in Saudi Arabia, they will be killed. They will pay a penalty for it. But secondly, when you go to someone's house, if I'm going to a funeral of a friend, let's say I'm Catholic, all right? Let's say I go to a Jewish friend's home, I go to a Jewish friend's memorial service, then I am going to follow and respect their customs. I am going to follow what it is they want. I'm not going to go in and try to force my Catholic doctrine on them. Now, there are those who will try to influence others on their religious belief. But I'm going to tell you, first of all, not always a great idea. Secondly, certainly not a good idea at the time of death, at the memorial services for someone. You don't go in and essentially say, hi, you're wrong, and I'm right. And, oh, yeah, by the way, we're really sorry for your loss. It's a slap in the face. It's insulting. So by going, the idea, the purpose of going to this memorial service, by going to this condolence visit, was supposed to be to show our respect and our solidarity with Saudi Arabia. What we did instead was spit in the face of Saudi Arabia. This president has a unique ability to aggravate people.
The Capitol Hill Show.
Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton. Two words that are talk radio gold. Always a pleasure to talk about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, we're told. Told by whom? Told by Elijah Cummings. Congressman Elijah Cummings said Hillary Clinton is willing and able, willing to go and about Benghazi, Libya. What? You know, the House Select Committee, they have been investigating the situation in Benghazi, Libya. And let me give you the 30-second primer. If you have been in a hole for the last couple of years and you don't know what I'm talking about, on September 11th, 2012, as the president, I'm not making this up, the very same day, the president was talking to a number of the Arab states via videotape, praising Arab Spring in Tunisia, in Egypt, and in Libya. There were attacks on United States soil. In Libya, it was in Benghazi. At our consulate there, not only were we attacked, but the ambassador there was killed, along with some other gentlemen. You know the whole story anyway. But they didn't want to admit this afterwards. No, we didn't know who did what. We didn't. There's the old saying of no man left behind, except in the Obama administration, is the asterisk there. They did leave our folks behind there. They told our own folks to stand down. We left the CIA and former CIA, the security personnel, to their own devices. They ended up dead. Horrible, horrible situation. But what came out of that evening, and then again the next morning, and then again the next week at the United Nations, on David Letterman, virtually everywhere, and of course on the following Sunday, on all the talk shows, the word out of the Obama administration was this attack in Libya had been due to a YouTube video. There was no mention of dealing with the Syrians. There was no mention of trying to deal weapons to the al-Qaeda operatives there to try to overthrow Assad. There was no mention of any of those details because, 7 weeks before Election Day? Any of that would have been suicide to the re-election efforts of Barack Obama. And so Hillary Clinton famously answered, "What difference does it make anyway?" And the one time that she spoke in front of the United States Congress on this issue. She's very deft, very clever at not answering questions. Well, I don't know that they'll let her get away with it again. Hillary Clinton, it is rumored, would like to be the Democratic nominee. She'd like to be the next president of the United States, and is seen by many as being the inevitable nominee of the Democratic Party. Hillary Clinton, if she wants to stay on track, does not want the world to focus on Benghazi. That would be a negative. She would like them to focus on positives like, I've told you before, I asked people that. What's her biggest accomplishment? And they always say, and they can't think of a thing. These are big Hillary supporters. They cannot think of one single thing that she's accomplished. But her name is Hillary Clinton. Anyway, according to Elijah Cummings, he says he has spoken with Hillary Clinton about the possibility of testifying at the request of Trey Gowdy, the congressman from South Carolina, is the chairman of the House Select Committee. And according to Elijah Cummings, anyway, she did not, and I quote, she did not hesitate for 1 second. She said, I'll do it, period. He said Clinton wanted to come in December, but she could also come this month in January. Well, unless they've scheduled a hearing for the end of the week, that's not going to happen. But it would seem to me if they put together a hearing in February or March, if she was going to come in January, she hadn't been very busy. She made almost no public appearances over the last couple of weeks. She appeared twice in one day up in Canada, but she has not made any other public appearances. Funny thing is, when Hillary stays out of the limelight, her popularity ratings start to inch back up. As soon as she comes out and starts talking, this is true, this is factual, her numbers go down. People don't really like Hillary. They like the legend of Hillary, the story of Hillary, but when they see her and hear her, most people don't really care for Hillary. It's they like this generic concept. I am woman, I am now. Well, we'll see. We'll see how whether or not Hillary Clinton comes before the panel. What is the role? You know, this whole Libya situation was a reminder of what a weakened state the United States is, how we are perceived around the globe. If these folks with a black flag can take over the consulate and kill our ambassador and literally nothing is done about it. Can you tell me, Pete, can you tell me what we've done? No, absolutely. No one can tell me what did we do in retribution, because we did nothing. Anyway, go to Egypt, go to Tunisia, go to these various places. There is no respect and no fear. And I don't want our only modus operandi to be one of fear. Let me give you a funny analogy. As a parent, you don't want to just rule by fear. I will beat my son unless he does such and such. You don't want that kind of a following, because ultimately it backfires. It teaches the wrong lessons. You do want fear of retribution. You do want fear of punishment. It doesn't have to be beating. It might be, oh, I do not get to watch my favorite show. Oh, we do not get to go out as a family on Friday night. Oh, there is some response if the child acts out. Truthfully, the United States is the parent to many of these places on earth. They need guidance. They may not want guidance. Sometimes your teenage son doesn't want guidance either, but you know what? Just because he doesn't want it doesn't mean that he doesn't need it. Same thing here. Some of these countries, but when the child stops fearing that there will actually be a meaningful response from the parent, they just act out and do whatever they want. Well, guess what? In Tunisia and Libya and Egypt and all these other places, they no longer are concerned under Barack Obama about what the United States might do to put them back in their place, to show them some sort of punishment if they act out. They went so far as to kill a United States ambassador, and the response was nothing. Exactly. Mrs. Clinton will have to answer that. The president has never answered for that. But we are where we are. We will see. Can America be great again? Is there the possibility? Is there the possibility of bringing back that worldwide recognition that there'll be somebody out there that hates us? So be it. But in general, will there be people out there that fear retribution, that respect our role in the world, that appreciate the good we try to do? I don't know. It's going to take the right leadership. Absolutely going to take the right leadership. I don't think Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State and architect of our current foreign policy, I don't know that she is the person. Who is that? Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, immediately after this, I am sitting down with Senator Ted Cruz. It's rumored that Mr. Cruz, that the senator from Texas, is interested in running for president of the United States. He was in Iowa this past weekend. I have had the chance to sit down with him and talk with him about What makes America great? You will hear my conversation with Senator Ted Cruz right after this.
You're listening to the Capitol Hill Show with the voice of reason, Tim Constantine.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi there. It's Tim Constantine with you from the Capitol Hill Show. My guest today, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, how are you?
Tim, it's great to be with you.
Now, it is silly season. We've got the 2-year cycle officially beginning. There's a lot going on. You spoke to the folks in Iowa, got a rousing response. Tell me about the feel, the energy out there.
Well, I tell you, the energy is electric. There were over 1,000 grassroots activists from all across Iowa, and the energy, it was contagious, it was powerful. These are men and women that are ready to turn our country around. They recognize the path we're on isn't working, and they want to get back to the principles that built this country. I'll tell you, I'm encouraged, I'm optimistic seeing that passion and energy from those grassroots activists all across the state.
When I was a kid, Jimmy Carter was president, and he famously used the phrase malaise, how the country was in a malaise. People did not like that. While Barack Obama doesn't use that verbiage, I swear a lot of what he tells us is what we can't do and what we can't accomplish. Can America be great again?
Absolutely, yes. As you know, that was the central theme of what I talked about there today. Reigniting the miracle of America, getting back to the principles that have made this nation the greatest nation in the history of the world. And it's interesting you use the Jimmy Carter analogy. I think where we are today is very, very much like the late 1970s. I think the parallels between Carter and Obama are uncanny. The same failed economic policies, out of control spending and taxes and regulation. The same economic stagnation, misery, and as you noted, malaise. And the same feckless and naive foreign policy. In fact, the exact same countries, Russia and Iran, laughing at and mocking the President of the United States. And I'll tell you, Tim, the reason that analogy gives me such encouragement is we remember what happened. In response to that, we saw a grassroots movement sweep the country, millions of men and women who came together and formed the Reagan Revolution. And it didn't come from Washington. Washington despised Ronald Reagan. It came from the American people. The reason I'm optimistic, I see the same thing happening here in Iowa and South Carolina and New Hampshire and all across this country. I'm convinced that 2016 is going to be an election like 1980. And the way we're going to win and turn this country around is we're going to draw a line in the sand. We're going to make a fundamental choice. And we're going to paint a bold, optimistic, hopeful vision that we can get back to the principles that made America great.
The obvious question is, who will be the Ronald Reagan of this era?
Well, it is a terrific question, and I expect this primary season to focus on that. You know, one of the things I talked about a few minutes ago was the need to reassemble the Reagan coalition, that we need a candidate who can unify and energize conservatives and libertarians and evangelicals and Republican women and Reagan Democrats and young people and bring them all together fighting for the shared principles we all believe in. I think that's going to be a big, big part of this primary season.
Final question, how important is spirituality? How important is, whether it doesn't matter the specific religion, but having those core beliefs that have always been a part of American tradition?
Well, that has always been integral to who we are as a people. There is a reason the very first liberty protected in the First Amendment to the Bill of Rights is religious liberty. We're a nation that was founded by men and women fleeing religious persecution and coming to a land where we could seek out the Lord God Almighty with all of our heart, mind, and soul without the government getting in the way. And one of the most dangerous aspects of the Obama administration over the last 6 years has been the relentless assault on religious liberty. And I'll tell you, if you look to 2008 and 2012, one of the principal reasons Barack Obama won is that people of faith stayed home. Evangelical Christians stayed home. Reagan Democrats, Catholics up and down the Rust Belt stayed home. If we're going to win in 2016, people of faith have to come back to the polls. They have to come and stand for our values. And if we stand for our shared values, we'll get back to the free market principles and constitutional liberties that have been the foundation of the miracle of America.
Do you have a timeline to make your final decision on whether to get into the race?
Well, I'm looking at the race very, very seriously. And I'll tell you, the support and encouragement we're receiving is incredible. At the grassroots level, the response here in Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina has been breathtaking. And the support we're seeing on the financial side of those who are saying, we will help you raise the resources to get your message out and to respond to the inevitable onslaught of millions and millions of dollars of attack ads, that has been incredibly encouraging as well.